Lieutenant Jake Morrison had endured 3 months of barely concealed contempt from his fellow cadets at the Galactic Defense Academy. At 5 feet 10 inches and weighing only 180 pounds, he was considered laughably small by galactic standards. The towering Krillian warriors stood 9 feet tall with chitinous armor plating, while the Vorthan soldiers possessed 4 powerful arms and dense bone structures that could withstand plasma fire. Even Cadet Zix, a diminutive Squeakian barely 4 feet tall, had natural psychic shields and could phase through solid matter. Jake appeared to possess no special abilities whatsoever. "Look at the little pink thing," rumbled Thexkaw, a massive Krillian whose natural exoskeleton gleamed like polished obsidian. "It has no claws, no armor, no enhanced strength. What use could it possibly be in battle?" Jake ignored the taunts as he had learned to do, focusing instead on studying his fellow cadets' combat techniques during training sessions. While they relied heavily on their natural advantages, he noticed they often neglected basic tactical thinking and adaptability. Instructor Veltar, a seasoned Altarian warrior with 6 eyes and crystalline skin, announced the semester's final examination, individual combat trials against the Academy's adaptive training constructs. Each cadet would face increasingly difficult opponents designed to challenge their specific abilities. The other cadets performed admirably. Thexkaw smashed through his opponents with brute force, his chitinous plates deflecting energy blasts. Zix phased through attacks and struck with psychic bursts. The 4-armed Vorthans overwhelmed their constructs with coordinated strikes. When Jake's name was called, snickers rippled through the observation deck. Even Instructor Veltar's expression suggested he expected a quick defeat. The first construct activated, a standard combat drone armed with pulse weapons and energy shields. Jake studied it for exactly 3 seconds before moving. What happened next defied every expectation. Jake didn't charge forward like the others. Instead, he rolled to the side, using the arena's obstacles for cover, while the drone's shots scorched empty air. He grabbed a piece of debris, something the other cadets had ignored, and hurled it with surprising accuracy at the drone's sensor array. Partially blinded, the construct adjusted its firing pattern. Jake had already moved, appearing behind it. With no natural weapons, he improvised, using the arena's own metal supports to redirect the drone's momentum before delivering a precisely calculated strike to its power coupling. The drone collapsed. Instructor Veltar blinked all 6 eyes in surprise, but activated the second construct, a larger, more aggressive unit designed to adapt to its opponent's fighting style. Jake studied this one for 5 seconds. Then he did something unprecedented. He began talking to it. "You're programmed to counter specific combat approaches," he said conversationally, dodging a plasma blast. "But what happens when your opponent doesn't follow any recognizable pattern?" He fought in a way none of the aliens had ever seen, constantly changing tactics, using psychological warfare, exploiting the environment, and most importantly, thinking several moves ahead. When the construct adapted to his feints, he abandoned them entirely. When it learned to predict his movement patterns, he incorporated random elements that defied logical analysis. The construct, designed to adapt to conventional combat strategies, found itself unable to process Jake's chaotic but purposeful approach. "Impossible," whispered Thexkaw from the observation deck. "The construct should have adapted by now." But Jake wasn't fighting like a single species. He incorporated elements of Krillian strength, Vorthan coordination, Squeakian unpredictability, and dozens of other techniques he'd observed. Then added something uniquely human, the ability to rapidly synthesize and modify strategies mid-combat. The second construct fell. The third construct was the Academy's ultimate challenge, a shape-shifting opponent designed to counter any known fighting style in the galactic database. Jake studied it for 10 full seconds while it morphed through various threatening forms. "You know what?" he said finally. "I don't think I'll fight you at all." Instead, he began dismantling the arena itself, using tools and leverage points the other cadets hadn't even noticed existed. Within minutes, he had trapped the shapeshifter in a collapsed section of flooring, while simultaneously redirecting the arena's power systems to create an electromagnetic pulse that disabled its adaptive matrix. The construct shut down. In the stunned silence that followed, Instructor Veltar slowly descended to the arena floor. "Cadet Morrison," he said, his crystalline voice filled with wonder, "what exactly are you?" Jake wiped sweat from his forehead and grinned. "I'm human, sir. We're the species that survived on a death world by learning to adapt faster than anything trying to kill us. We don't have natural weapons or armor, so we had to get creative." As the implication sank in, the other cadets began to understand why humans were truly feared across the galaxy, not for their strength or special abilities, but for their terrifying capacity to turn any situation into an advantage through pure, adaptive intelligence. Jake had just proven that the most dangerous weapon in the universe was a human mind with something to prove.